Bonjour mes amis, my name is Preston. I've been traveling around for a while, trying to live my life 28 days at a time in different cities. And today I'm going to be talking about the 10 best reasons to visit Avignon in France. I spent 28 days there. I was very lucky to be able to do so. I loved my time there. And so let's talk about why you should as well. Number 10, the walls. These things were built in the 14th century during the era of the popes. I'll talk about that a little later, but there was a time period where the popes, like the ones in Rome, were actually located in Avignon. And it was at that time that they decided to build a huge castle, a huge palace, cathedral, and of course these walls that would protect the city. It's quite an amazing thing that they're still around, even after all these years, but they're like kind of functional still. It's really interesting. Most cities that used to have walls built around this period, they've long since collapsed, but these ones in Avignon are still up. They still look pretty good. On 99% of the walls, you can't climb on them. I'll talk about that in a second, but they've closed it to the public now due to like falling rocks and things like that. Maybe it's not a bad idea, as much as I'd like to get up there. But what's the most fascinating thing about these walls is it's this ancient wall integrated into a modern society. So for example, people commute to Avignon with cars and bikes and motorcycles, or as a pedestrian through these walls. It's really super interesting. And in particular, and I love doing this, they have these small little pedestrian entrances where you can walk in and out of the walls. And it's super novel, but I really enjoyed doing it. It was really a lot of fun, this idea of just walking through these ancient walls, right? Very cool. Number 9, the Palace of the Popes. As I mentioned, maybe you didn't know, but there was a time period where the popes were in Avignon. It was quite an interesting period. And in fact, back in the day, the expectation was that the Pope was going to move around a little bit more. We just think of the Pope as being in Rome, and he's been there for, well, it's always a he, but he's been there for, centuries or whatever. But before that, he was in Avignon. Now, what that means for us is there's this huge Gothic palace that you can go visit. And when I say huge, it is huge. It's amazingly big. And it's quite an experience to do. Not only do you get to go in and learn about the history of the popes and the time period that palace was created, but they have these really cool uses of technology, which in and of itself, the contrast of using these like iPads or tablets to be able to experience what it was like way back in the day, just the idea of this like 14th century palace with my tablet. It's really cool. The added bonus is it actually works. As you go from room to room, there's different things there's augmented reality, so you can see what it used to look like from the tablet, or pass it over these QR code to explain a little bit more about the time period or what the purpose of that room is. If you've got kids, I would imagine this would be amazing for them. What's interesting about this place is it was built on top of this hill, and you can climb up to the top and get this panoramic view of Avignon, which is amazing. A little bit of a warning, when you're doing the tour and you're following it around, it's easy to skip past that point. So if you see a spot where it looks like it's gonna go upstairs, go upstairs. But yeah, it's just really, really cool to be able to like be in what was, at least in the 14th century when the popes were there, like the most important building probably in the Western world. Number 8, the beautifully styled buildings. What can I say about Avignon? It is gorgeous. I love the look of this place. It's not just the palace, right? It's not just the palace and the cathedral and the walls and everything, but the buildings themselves. They have such great character, and it's a recognized French style. Every city seems to have its own little unique color, and that's because of the local rock that they use to build their buildings. And Avignon looks amazing. It's this muted white, and it's just gorgeous. And they really take pride in their buildings. And It's so charming. It's going to overwhelm you. Like when I was there, I kept like, is there a way you could squeeze the cheeks of of a city? You know, I was like, oh my God, this place is so gorgeous. You know, where do they get off getting being so pretty? It's amazing. Like just being around it is invigorating. It really is. And what's interesting though is most of the cities around Avignon have this ancient Roman look. Like there's a lot of old amphitheaters and colosseums in these small Roman towns. But Avignon really has that, because of it being so important in the 14th century, it has that kind of Gothic like look to it. But over the years, the buildings have gotten that, evolved into that, you know, typical French style. And a lot, you'll see that with the window treatments and the streets and the churches and, you know, the spacing of the alleyways. It's just, just a cool place to be. Number 7 is the history. I've already touched on it a little bit, but you've got walls, you've got castles, you've got palaces. And it's really like I said, it was the most important place in, you know, the Western Europe anyway, or, you know, in the Catholic world, because it being right there. But like, this is the place where the popes were, where they were making decisions. They were making decisions on the 100-Year War. They were making decisions on how Catholicism was going to work. It was also here where the Catholic Church was kind of centering its economy and its resources. This was where all the money flowed in. And it's a time when they started to invent things like indulgences, which, as we know, a couple hundred years later, would be a big, big deal. And because of being at the center of everything, it was quite an influential town. So just being around that, knowing as you're looking at the walls, as you're walking down those alleyways, these were the same ones where all these decisions were happening. And it's a very cool place to be, to get a sense of, in particular, 14th century France. Number 6 is the Baguettes. Well, the bakery. The thing is, they'll tell you that French people will walk around town with a baguette and just eat it straight from the bag. And I didn't think that was a real thing. I thought it was a stereotype. I saw it on the first day I was there. And of course, when I tried the baguettes myself, oh, wow, it's so good. It's France. So the baguette isn't particular to Avignon necessarily, but I experienced a lot of really, really good bread. I also got to experience a lot of, you know, just French baked goods. You know, pain de chocolat, the croissant, of course, you know, or anything. I really love the eclairs. I didn't think I liked eclairs until I tried them at the bakery. And so when I was there, I started this, you know, pastry of the day on my daily videos. And it was a lot of fun to try new things, try old things over and over again. But a lot of people really found that a lot of fun. Number 5 is the ingredients. Again, we're talking about France. We're talking about French cooking. And if you're going to cook well, you want good ingredients. And what I found when I was shopping, going to the local markets and things, everything seemed to have just a much better quality. I'm really starting to think about the food now, and I'm getting hungry. So Avignon is in southern France. So olive oil is still a big deal. And I tried some olive oil that they made there. They take a lot of pride in it, and it's delicious, and it's amazing to cook with. It's just really, really great stuff. But there has to be something else about it. Like because the standard for ingredients and quality of ingredients gets so high, everything around that food is just better. I had kebabs, which is not a French thing at all. And the quality of the kebab was very, very high. And in particular, the bread, the pita, was nice and puffy and chewy at the same time. And it was the most amazing kebab that I ever had in France. Number 4, it's a quick jump to other cities. Because you're in southern France and because of the train system that they have in France, you're really just a train or a bus ride away from a lot of other cool cities. But you want to get a car if you want to drive to some of the smaller cities, or go out and see, for example, the lavender that they have in Provence. Now, the trains aren't necessarily direct to other cities. A quick hop from Avignon Central to Nimes will get you all along the path that will go right down to Barcelona and right up to Paris. But some other cities that that I got a chance to see was Lyon, Arles in southern France, as well as a small town called Orange, which was about 20 minutes away and an amazing little place to go visit, including having this huge Roman amphitheater. Not to mention Nimes itself, which probably has the prettiest train station I've ever been in. It's very, very cool. So you stay in Avignon, you can still have plenty of side trips on the weekends. Number 3 is the bus to the Pont du Gard. It cost me €1.50. Yes, €1.50. I can't even imagine how much it would have cost to have taken a taxi or rented a car or anything like that. When I found out there was a bus directly to the Pont, I thought it was going to be expensive. I went, I bought it. It was €1.50. Amazing. And it takes you almost right up to the gates. You got about like a 5-minute walk. But you know, for that price and to be able to experience that park, I'll do a whole separate video on the Pont du Gard. It's an amazing place with a lot of history there. And it's bigger than you think. It's huge and such a cool place to be hanging out. And to think that I just had to hop on a bus to get there was really, really cool. The park is free, but if you want to go into the museum, it costs you another euro or two to get in. And obviously any of the souvenirs, that might cost you as well. But knowing that you can get there for cheap and that you can walk around for free, makes for a really cheap day trip. And also note there's washrooms there, as well as a snack bar and a full-on restaurant. So you can spend the day there. But, you know, you got to go to the bridge. You got to walk over the bridge. You got to see it. It's amazing. And to think it's just a little bus ride away. Amazing. Number 2 is the parks. Now, in Avignon, they don't really exactly have the green spaces that you might associate with parks, but they have plenty of walkable areas and some really cool experiences to be around these parks. For one thing, they have the river, the Rhone River, which you can walk up and down. It's beautiful on a nice day and amazing to see, and plenty of places to just hang out and view the river. It's really, really cool. In fact, the Rhone River is so huge, there's actually a big island right in the middle. And they have a road where you can go from Avignon to Villeneuve on the other side, which is another charming, charming city that you can visit. But of course, the most famous park in Avignon is the one right on top of the hill. The wall is built around the city, and it includes this big, huge rock formation, right? Makes the wall a little cheaper to build because they integrate it right in there. On top of that hill is where the Pope's Palace is, the cathedral, but then they have this amazing walkable park up there that has a pond right at the top and a lot of viewpoints where you can see an amazing view of the river and the whole town from up there. But in the pond, it's actually quite interesting because they've got a lot of ducks and a couple of swans as well. And so walking up there, I found it a little freaky to see ducks like halfway up. And it looked like there were ducks like hanging out on the rocks, which I've never seen before, and I couldn't understand why. But it was just a resting point because then they would move on to this great big pond with some fountains and stuff, and of course lots of people, you know, feeding them food, right? Now, at the top of this park, there is a stairwell which will take you back down towards the walls. And that's the part of the ramparts that is pretty much the only part of the ramparts that you can walk on, or the wall. And it's really, really cool. It's free and it's completely open to the public, but you get to see, you get the big panoramic view, and then you get to walk down the circular staircase in this old wall, and it'll take you right back down to street level. It's really, really interesting. It's a cool experience. Number 1, the bridge, or the Pont D'avignon. Now we all know that song, right? I'm not going to put it in your head. You're welcome. But what's so amazing is this bridge is there. Someone created this song, and it's taken a life of its own. People from all over the world know the song, they know the bridge, They know that you're supposed to dance on it, or danza danza, and it's right there in town. It's a bit of a novelty, but it's world famous. And it's amazing as I talk to locals to hear like people from Japan who were psyched to see this bridge. You know, people from Canada, where I'm from. We used to sing the song in French class, and anyone who's taken a French class has probably sang the song. And so it was really kind of cool to go there. And of course, I had to find a way to dance on the bridge, or danza danza. And I did. So while you have to pay to get in, I think it's about €5, you do get to walk the entirety of the bridge. You get a nice view of the river. It's really interesting. And of course, you can get somebody to film you dancing, or try to get a little tripod. One disadvantage of traveling alone is that I didn't have someone to take like a better shot of me dancing on the bridge, but I got it, you know, it worked out. Nevertheless, it's worth the price of admission. It's worth the trip to Avignon to danza danza. Anyway, those are my 10 favorite things about Avignon, the 10 best reasons you should consider traveling there, and I hope you get there. Have you been? Let me know about it in the comments. If you like this video, please give it a like. It really, really helps. What helps even more is a subscription, because you'll get a lot more videos like this. Until next time, a bientôt!